the National Economic Development Party, currently the largest political party in Eastern Central Africa. And I am very happy to engage with you all today on a number of issues touching on our party and the national conversations. Asanteni sana.
Okay, Bwana Mulwa, I know many of the Kenyans are currently checking on the state of the nation, and I want to, from the perspective of the NEDP,
Yes.
how would you honestly describe the current state of the nation? Are Kenyans better off today than they were a year ago?
It would be unfortunate to not tell ourselves the truth. The reality is that all the reports that I have come across in the last 3-4 years indicate and paint a very grim picture of the reality on the ground. But most importantly, you don't even need to read a report. You just need to listen to Kenyans and share experiences with Kenyans. And you can be sure the situation in this country is very dire. And I'll give you specifics. First, recently, the World Bank released a report that evaluated the 5 presidents Kenya has ever had since independence. And in that particular report, they evaluated the first 3 years of President Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. They evaluated the first 3 years of President Daniel Arap Moi, first 3 years of President Mwai Kibaki, first 3 years of Uhuru Kenyatta, and finally first 3 years of President William Ruto. And you'll be surprised that in the first 3 years of President Mwai Kibaki, who came tops, the national economy grew by 42%. That is the World Bank. Number 2 was Uhuru Kenyatta, whose economy in the first 3 years grew by, I think, about 36%. Shockingly, number 3 was Mzee Daniel Arap Moi, whose first 3 years the economy grew by about...
Moi Kibaki. Number 3, Moi Kibaki.
No, number 3 was Moi, President Moi. Number 1 was Mwai Kibaki, who had the highest economic growth in the first 3 years at 42%. Number 2 was President Uhuru Kenyatta, whose economy in the first 3 years grew by about 36%. Number 3 was Mzee Daniel Arap Moi, whose economy in the first 3 years grew by about 31%. Number 4 was Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, whose economy grew by about 26% in the first 3 years. And shockingly, under William Ruto, the national economy has only grown by 16% in 3 years. And that's the reality on the ground. Today, when you look at statistics from the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, there has never been such a high unemployment rate in the history of this country. Those are facts by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. There has never been, actually since 2003, it is only January 2026, for the first time we have seen our children unable to go to school because of the disconnect and because of the mess that has been created in our education sector. Today, when you walk around almost every family, there is a health crisis whereby they have either somebody admitted in hospital or somebody detained in hospital, because we had a national hospital insurance fund that was functional, that was messed up 3 years ago. Today, more Kenyans are being relinquished into poverty simply because we have a completely dysfunctional healthcare system in the country. When you look at tertiary education, we have actually a majority of the young people today who benefited initially from the free primary education that Mwai Kibaki introduced are college and university graduates, because we had a sensible, practical, functional funding model for tertiary education that was completely missed. Today, I encounter cases of extremely poor families that are unable to educate their children at the college and university level simply because of what was done 2 or 3 years ago. The list is endless. So when we talk about the state of the nation, I think What Kenya has been reduced to is a talk show whereby we have a government that is talking too much, and hardly anything to show on the ground. And if you want to look at the statistics I gave you from the World Bank, Mwai Kibaki never ran around this country standing on rooftops and on sunroofs to preach to Kenyans what he was doing, but then the economy and the numbers actually spoke for themselves. On the converse, today we have a government that is very loud, and I mean extremely loud, but that does not match the reality or the feeling of the ordinary citizens. So we are at a very bad place, socially, politically, and economically as a country. And we have, unless we do something between now and the next general election, Kenya is going to sink into a hole we'll never be able to retrieve ourselves.
We have heard not once or twice the president say that he is a student of Mwai Kibaki. Where do you think he is going wrong?
I think that is his own assumption that he's a student of Mwai Kibaki. But we have seen a lot of cases whereby people go to school and eventually they do not translate to